Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. O purest Vidura, of the lower animals, the cow, goat, buffalo, Krishna stag, hog, Gavaya animal, deer, lamb, and camel all have two hooves. Translation. The horse, mule, ass, gaura, sorabha, bison, and wild cow, all of them have one hoof. Now you may hear from me about the animals who have five nails. Translation. The dog, jackal, tiger, fox, cat, rabbit, sajaru, lion, monkey, elephant, tortoise, alligator, etc. all have five nails in their claws. They are known as Panchanakha or animals having five nails. Translation. The heroine, vulture, crane, hawk, bhasa, bhaluka, peacock, swan, sarasa, chakravaka, crow, owl, and others are the birds. Translation. The creation of the human beings who are of one species only and who stock their eatables in the belly is the ninth in the rotation. In the human race, the mode of passion is very prominent. Humans are always busy in the midst of miserable life, but they think themselves happy in all respects. Purport. The human beings is more passionate than the animals, and thus the sex life of the human being is more irregular. The animals have their due time for sexual intercourse, but the human beings have no regular time for such activities. The human being is endowed with a higher advanced stage of consciousness for getting relief from the existence of material miseries. But due to his ignorance, he thinks that the higher consciousness is meant for advancing in material comforts of life. Thus, his intelligence is misused in the animal propensities eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, instead of spiritual realization. By advancing in material comforts, the human beings put himself into more miserable condition. But illusioned by the material energy, he always thinks himself happy, even while in the midst of misery. Such misery of human life is distinct from the natural, comfortable life enjoyed even by the animals. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta. So this chapter is called the divisions of the creation. So how different creations, different in different cycles, different life forms came into being. So we read today that how even animals, different species, there are gradations. There are 84 lakh species, plants, birds, aquatics, reptiles, and even in animals who have five nails, who have claws, panchanakhas. So different kinds of animals, different kinds of birds came about. And then in this verse, 26th verse, finally the human being. Bhagavatam also says, Labdva sudurlabham idam bahu sambhavante. This human form of life, the soul achieves. Labdva means achieves. Sudurlabham, durlabham means it is very, very difficult to achieve. After many, many lives of transmigration in different life forms, finally the soul is awarded a human form of life. So here it says, in human race, the mode of passion is very prominent. Again, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about the three modes, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. In general, human is very passionate. So Prabhupada is explaining why he is passionate. Human race is very passionate. So he says, humans are always busy in midst of miserable life. Everyone is busy, working very hard. If you just see in the roads, all the cars, 80 kilometers per hour, 100 kilometers, very quickly. Even speed breakers, they don't wait. Everyone is in a hurry to reach. And Prabhupada explains, humans are always busy in the midst of miserable life. Although the life is very miserable, but because of illusion, because of Maya, one thinks that one is happy. Or if one is not happy, one is waiting for one thing to happen. बस ये मिल जाए, बस ये हो जाए, बच्चे की शादी हो जाए, उसकी जॉब लग जाए, and then everything will be happy. Everyone is having that hope. There is something missing in the equation of happiness, and if this happens, we'll be happy. And many times movies also end, and they happily lived hereafter. Lot of struggle in the movie. Hero, heroine, struggling somehow, and after that they lived happily thereafter. So which is illusion in illusion. Movie itself is an illusion, double illusion. Sometimes when we say that human life is miserable, people actually believe that we are very pessimistic. One person, when we were taking Gita live session, he started chanting. He was regularly coming also. So one day after the session, he met me. He, even before coming to our session, he was he was going to some Bhagavad Gita sessions. And not everyone talks very straightforward Bhagavad Gita as it is. So he has never heard, in our every session, invariably, if you see Prabhupada books also, human life is not meant to work like cats and dogs, birth, death, old age, disease. And we are also end up speaking that human life is miserable. Just like here he says, they think happy, but actually it is misery. So he actually met me and he says कि आप लोग के सेशन में बहुत ये दुख बहुत होता है. मृत्यु, जरा, व्याधि. And he actually said थोड़ा सा शुभ बोलो. अच्छा बोलो. Because most of the Gita session also they talk about कैसे शांति से रहना है, कैसे प्रेम पूर्वक काम करना है, किसी को तंग नहीं करना, गुस्सा नहीं करना, लोभ नहीं करना. It's all about leading a morally upright, good life. So here Prabhupada is saying that although they are very busy in miserable life, they think themselves as happy. This is the effect of being in Maya. And that's why people are making elaborate plans to be happy and to permanently settle down. Recently you would have seen that videos in WhatsApp, Turkey earthquake. Huge buildings, just huge buildings, 7-storied, 8-storied building, just collapsing. And it appears to us that, Turkey mein aaya earthquake. It can happen anytime, anywhere, any place. Earth is same. Gujarat mein earthquake came, Maharashtra mein it came, Delhi mein it came. And actually, human beings are very badly abusing the earth. You all know that a lot of resources are being pulled out, including oil. So, it will all, the equilibrium, the nature's balance, nature balance, in all aspects, ecological balance, all that is getting disrupted and reactions will come. So, Prabhupada says that man is more passionate than animals. Although still categories are there, Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, but compared to animals, man is more passionate because he is very busy. And he also says why he's passionate, because even animals, there is some bit of regulation in their life. By nature's way, they're designed, if they have to have sexual intercourse, there's fixed time, there's fixed period. Even animals, they have fixed cycle. Once in 6 months, once in a. Again, there could be animals who are doing multiple times in a day, but there's some regulation as per the design. But human being has no regulation. Prabhupada says, because he is endowed with higher intelligence, there's no regular time for such activities. Not only sex, for everything: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. There's no fixed time. Like animals, if you see, there's a fixed time for sleeping. Animals, you would have seen, when they become sick, they just sit in one place and they stop eating. Human beings, when they start eating. There's no regular time for such activities. Human being is endowed with higher advanced stage of consciousness for getting relief from the existence of material miseries. But due to his ignorance, he thinks that his higher consciousness is meant for advancing in material comfort of life. We have one presentation in which we show that how in a bank there is a manager, and also in the same bank, again employee of the bank, there is one clerk or there is one peon. Both are bank employees. Both are on the rolls of bank, but one manager, he has a cabin, he has an air conditioner, he has all the facilities. The bank has given a car, a driver. You have seen typically how government offices, elaborate arrangements are there, facilities are there. And the same bank also has a peon who's sitting outside, has just one chair. There is no cabin, there is no facility provided. Salary is very less. Both of them are bank employees. So there we explain that why the bank manager, both of them are employees of the bank, why the bank manager is given higher facilities. Anyone? Why? Higher responsibilities. He has to, both are doing bank work, but this person, manager, is supposed to execute higher responsibilities. The entire profitability of that branch, getting more customers, getting more deposits, ensuring that timely disbursal happens, ensuring that entire responsibility is his. Whereas peon responsibility is to ensure that the place is clean, the door is opened, water is, whenever that bell rings, go and give the water. So likewise, we see human form of life has been given a higher facility. What is the higher facility in human form compared to animals? Higher intelligence, developed consciousness. There's a consciousness even in a tree, there's a consciousness even in a plant, even in an animal. When you throw a stone to a dog, it immediately senses there is some danger and runs away. There is consciousness, there's a conscious being. But consciousness is more evolved in human being. Why it is more evolved? By nature's way, just like we gave example of bank manager, he has got better facility because he has to execute higher responsibilities. So human being has been given this body with higher faculties, higher intelligence, developed consciousness, ability to ask questions. Who am I? Why am I suffering? This ability has been given to execute a higher responsibility. And Prabhupada explains what is that responsibility. What is that responsibility? Anyone? What is the responsibility? endowed with higher advanced stage of consciousness for getting relief from the existence of material miseries. The other day in Bhagavatam class, we were hearing that how somebody is saying, why this world is miserable? This world is miserable because just like prison house is designed like that, it is meant for that. So, whereas in human form of life, we can come out. We can understand that why we are put in this condition, who is God, what's my relationship with Him, why we are suffering, why we are entangled, what is Maya, how to come out of Maya and come out of this blazing fire of material existence. So human life is meant for that, but due to ignorance, he thinks that the higher consciousness is meant for advancing in material comforts of life. Now, if the manager who has been given a cabin, all the facilities beyond, he actually starts doing peon's work. He doesn't attend to the customers. He carries water here and there. The branch is making loss. Customers are unhappy. Lot of escalations. The manager will be removed. That post will be taken away from. Once there was a Pandit. He was invited by somebody in his house for some program. He was from a village background, not very cultured. Some people have native villages. From native, they called Pandit. So he came, big palatial house. So after the program, just like, to Brahmanas and Pandits, they are respected. They're given something in charity. They're given some dakshina or they're given some gift. So this person gifted him a very, very exquisite Kashmiri shawl. Kashmiri shawl, original woolen shawl. It's very, very costly and it is, because it is not so easily available, shawls, different types are there. Even Kashmiri shawl, that label also will be there. But originally Kashmiri shawl made of that original wool, it's very, very costly. So he gifted that rare shawl to this Pandit. So Pandit had his bhojan. After that, he washed his leg. And what did he do with the shawl? He washed his legs, washed his hands, and then with the shawl he is wiping his leg, wiping his hands, and then he sneezed with the shawl. So the person, he says, I have gifted so costly, so exquisite shawl to him, and see what he is doing. Such a uncultured person, has no sense, has no idea what this shawl is about. And he sent this person, take away this shawl. Took away the shawl. This is exactly what is going to happen to the soul who has got this human birth. Exactly the same thing is going to happen. From the Lord's point of view, a very, very brilliant, very, very labdhva durlabham, very rarely achieved, this human birth has been given. But if we very nicely use for improving our eating, just like this person seeing that shawl being used for wiping the thing and blowing off the nose, he felt so bad. Actually, the Lord who is seated in our heart will be so sad if we are misusing this human form of life. Actually, if we analyze, we'll get to see how the Lord is so compassionate. In spite of we doing so much of nonsense, the Lord is there in our heart, giving us unlimited chances. Actually, I sometimes tell devotees that if the Lord is not merciful, most of us will not be sitting here. If the Lord were to take into account some mistakes which we do, sometimes inadvertently, sometimes knowingly, some principles we break, we will not be sitting here. in spite of having given so much of opportunity, so much of facility, so much of this thing, still we are ungrateful. Still we complain. So one time there was a king. He had, courtiers in the court, when the sabha happens. There are all different kinds of ministers, courtiers. So whenever they would have meetings, that gathering, invariably after that there will be dinner arranged. And anytime dinner is arranged, he would see that all of them would go and they'll be laughing, talking among themselves, and they'll eat. And not pausing for a minute for offering prayers, expressing gratitude. The king felt very bad. He was quite pious, he was quite God conscious. So he felt very bad. He said, these people have no gratitude. They don't even pause for a second to thank the Lord, be grateful, forget about offering prayers. In Vedic culture, this offering prayers, again, in every this thing, even Christians, they have a prayer before they have food. Even in the details may vary, but the concept, the principle of thanking the Lord is there. We may chant Mahaprasade Govinde, some people will chant different prayers, but the concept is the same, principle is the same. So the king thought, let me teach them a lesson. So he organized a very, very big annadan and sent word in his kingdom that all the destitutes, all the beggars, all the poverty-stricken people, that king in his sabha is arranged a big annadan, everyone can come. And people, the word spread around the king, mahal mein ja rahe hain hum log, khane ka intezam kiya hai Raja ji ne. So elaborate arrangement, big feast was organized. And word spread around, a lot of people came. Huge crowd gathered outside the palace to attend that Bhandara. And as soon as the gates were open, they all rushed in. And what did they do? They pounced on the tables, on this item, gulping down, eating fast, as much as they could eat. जो 10 दिन में नहीं खाया वो आज खा लेना है. And then putting something in the pocket, packing something. कभी कभी देखने को मिलता है. And then all stuffed themselves, ate a lot, and then packed something, and then they started living. And the king made all these ministers and courtiers stand on the balcony of that palace where this whole feast was organized. So they were watching from the top, the whole thing. The gates opened, all the people came in, and they jumped on the tables, ate whatever they wanted, they packed, they stuffed their pockets, everything, and they left. So this minister said, what kind of barbaric, जानवर की तरह ये लोग, एक शब्द भी वो नहीं है कि जो किंग आपने इतना इलैबोरेट अरेंजमेंट किया, एक धन्यवाद भी नहीं बोला, एक शब्द भी नहीं है धन्यवाद के, आपने आपके बहुत आभारी हैं, आपने ये अरेंज किया, थैंक यू. कैसे लोग हैं ये, जानवर की तरह है, जानवर की आए टूट पड़े खाने पे, बगैर धन्यवाद बोले चले गए. व्हाट काइंड ऑफ बारबेरिक पीपल आर दे, पूरे जानवर की तरह ऐसे बोलने लगे. सो व्हाट डिड द किंग से? ही सेड द किंग ऑफ किंग्स, यहाँ तो किंग ने वो किया था, द किंग ऑफ किंग्स. हु इज किंग ऑफ किंग्स? Krishna, the Lord. King of King arranges food for all of us every day. Do we stop for a moment to say thanks and offer prayers. If not, how are we better than these barbaric people? Are we also not savages? कपड़े अच्छे पहने होंगे, कपड़े अच्छे पहने होंगे, मे बी टेबल पे फोक नाइफ से बैठ के खाते हैं, लेकिन कॉन्शियस में हाउ आर वी बेटर देन दिस सैवेजेस? दैट्स वाई दे से धर्म विहीना पशु भी समान. Dharma means to be grateful, to offer prayers, to recognize कहाँ से आ रहा है. महाप्रसादे गोविंदे नमो ब्रह्मणे वैष्णवे स्वल्प पुण्यवतम राजन विश्वास नैव जायते. अगर पुण्य नहीं है विश्वास नहीं आएगा. There is no gratitude, there is no conception, it is coming from Lord. Many people actually, rich people actually believe के पूरा the whole family is dependent on me, मेरे पे निर्भर है. Yes, maybe at a व्यवहारिक level he must be earning member in the family, but some genuinely believe के मैं इनकी परवरिश कर रहा हूँ, मेरे कारण ये लोग खा रहे हैं. So human form, higher consciousness begins when we come out of this lower consciousness and understand that at a Vyavaharik level, maybe yes, somebody is managing, somebody is controlling, somebody is cooking, somebody is getting this thing, but we all know it is coming from the Lord. Even our talents, even लगे भी कि this मैंने कमाया है और उसके कारण मैंने खरीदा है. It's very clear this thing that there was one nice example Chanchalapati Prabhu in his classes used to give. When he was a student in college, in earlier time there was no concept of Paytm, Google Pay and RTGS. Even in my college days, what was the mode of transfer? Anyone knows? Anyone can think? Money order. How the money order used to come? Any idea? Many of us, anyone has those days of money order? अभी तो RTGS है, Google Pay है, online transfer हो जाता है. It's all तुरंत. Earlier, the postman used to come. In that post office, they go, they deposit the money, they fill the form. Here in this destination place, the postman will come actually to the recipient, will take your signature and give cash. That's called money order. वहाँ पे 500 रुपये जमा किए हैं पोस्ट ऑफिस में, यहाँ के पोस्ट ऑफिस में 500 रुपये जाके उसको देंगे. एंड पोस्ट ऑफिस टेक सम कमीशन फॉर डूइंग दैट मनी ऑर्डर. सो ही सेज एवरी फिफ्थ is to eagerly wait for the postman to come. And the money what the postman used to bring, he used to deposit the mess bill and all the miscellaneous expenses for the month. It is not wrong to say that I am receiving the money from the postman. And because of that money, I am meeting all my expenses. Which is a fact. He is waiting for the postman. Postman is giving the money. And because of that money, he is paying all the bills. Animals can see only that. To conclude that postman is maintaining me is animal consciousness. To think that it rains because of clouds is animal consciousness. Which is not wrong. Which is a fact. That's why we say Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. Yes, it's an immediate cause. It rains because of cloud, but that's not the ultimate cause. Yes, it's a fact we get money because of the postman, but it's not the ultimate cause. Human form of life with advanced intelligence, advanced consciousness, we can go beyond what is visible to our eyes. That's why the Lord, who is called Adhokshaja, who is beyond sense perception, we can perceive him. We can understand him. We can know him. We can realize him. Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all cause. Everything is coming from him. He is maintaining me. He is my Bharta. only in human form. And if we don't recognize this, then we are like animal. By advancing in material comforts, the human being put himself in more miserable condition, but illusioned by material energy, he always thinks himself happy, even while in midst of misery. That's why we sometimes say that we have to hear Bhagavatam on a daily basis. Because if this perception is not there, sometimes material energy is so the splendor of material energy, the splendor of Maya is so bewildering that even just like Vidvam Shapi Karshati, a Vidwan, a very knowledgeable person can also get bewildered. When we see somebody in a big bungalow, nice cars, family members are there. Sometimes even parents, I have heard many, many times, बुढ़ापे में कौन देखेगा आपका? They actually feel that we are very insecure. They actually believe. And they believe that they are very secure because Graha, Seta, Sutta, Apta, Vitar, everything is there. Relatives, bank balance, money, and we have nothing. So, if we don't have proper perception, proper Krishna consciousness, which everyday basis our consciousness may come down, may get materially contaminated, we can also get bewildered. We can also think, what will happen to me? We can also think, oh, he's enjoying so much. He has car, he has bungalow, he has money, he has bank balance, he's going for holidays, he's going to America. One time there was a person who had nothing and he used to beg with open arms. And everyone wants promotion, wants to go to next level. If suppose somebody has Maruti car, he wants the next model of Maruti car. Somebody has one car, somebody wants a better car, bigger car. So his desire was to have a begging bowl. काश अगर begging bowl होता और दक्षिणा मिलेगी मुझे. अभी खाली हाथ से मांगना पड़ता है. So his ardent desire was कि कैसे मुझे वो begging bowl मिले. So he would go and beg to a potter who is to make different kinds of pot. And now this beggar unfortunately was so poverty stricken, he could not afford that pot. And although beggar desire तो होते हैं, वो pot में भी models हैं. So he wanted a specific pot. So he kept on requesting, and he kept on telling that this is the price, and unfortunately he could not afford it. So every day religiously before he would start his work, he will go to that place and beg. Not money, but beg for that pot. Seeing his utsaha, dhairya and nischaya, finally this person relented and gave him that begging pot as a charity. So this person, because so much enthusiasm, with so much of patience, with so much of desire, with so much of passion he had hoping and desiring and all. Just today we heard ichha, jasta, asha, all we throw around in different things. So he had thrown on this begging pot. If I get this pot, my life is done. So he got the pot, he got so excited, he started jumping and dancing and, ho gaya, mil gaya. And he threw that pot, in excitement. And when he threw the pot on the ground, he forgot that he has to catch it. He was jumping and dancing. The pot fell down and broke. So what is the lesson from this? Our human life is also like that. From the Atma perspective, Labdva Sudurlabham, we have got after many, many lives. We have been anxiously waiting, suffering in different life forms, and we get this human birth. And here we get busy with making all kinds of material arrangements for material pleasure and forget that it is Durlabha. Forget what is the purpose for which we have got this human birth. And that human birth is wasted. So we'll stop here. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.